Let us revise first Fraunhofer diffraction at single slit in brief. In Fraunhofer diffraction at a single slit, we made parallel rays of light incident on a single slit of width A. We considered the light rays which are diffracted at an angle theta. These light rays are responsible for point P on the screen. We tried to find the resultant amplitude of the wave disturbance arriving at point P with the help of this phasor diagram, and the resultant amplitude of the light waves arriving at point P is obtained as E theta equal to Em sin alpha upon alpha, where alpha is pi by lambda A sin theta. The intensity distribution in single slit diffraction looks like this. For theta equal to 0, we get principal maximum. The intensity of this maximum is highest at the center. It reduces gradually and reaches 0. So this is the first minimum obtained. This is the first minimum on the other side. Intensity again increases, we get a secondary maximum. Again it decreases, we get a second minimum. On both sides we will get a second minimum. Again secondary maximum, minimum, and so on. So this is how the intensity is distributed in single slit diffraction. We will be using this relation E theta equal to Em sin alpha upon alpha, where alpha is equal to pi by lambda A sin theta, for our further discussion on double slit and n number of slits. So let us start with Fraunhofer diffraction at double slit. Let us consider the parallel rays of light incident on an arrangement of two slits. This is slit number 1 whose width is A, and this is slit number 2 whose width is also A. B is the separation between the two slits. Let us consider the light waves which are diffracted at an angle theta. These light waves will arrive at point P on the screen. Our problem statement is same here. We want to find out intensity of light at point P for the given value of theta. We will follow the same approach to find the intensity of light at point P. What we will do? We will draw a vector diagram in which we will represent each wave by a vector. The angle between the vectors will be the phase difference between the waves, and from that vector diagram we will find out the resultant amplitude of the wave disturbance arriving at point P. Intensity is directly proportional to square of the amplitude. So we can find out intensity of light arriving at point P due to the light waves which are diffracted at an angle theta. In a single slit diffraction, we divided that single slit into n number of infinitesimally small slit, each of width dx, and so we got n number of waves emitted from the single slit at an angle theta. With those n number of waves, we found the resultant amplitude of wave disturbance going at point P as E theta equal to Em sin alpha upon alpha, where alpha is pi by lambda A sin theta and Em is maximum possible amplitude that will go at point P naught, exactly opposite to the center of the slit in case of single slit diffraction. In double slit diffraction case, we will use that result which is obtained in single slit diffraction to simplify the problem. So what we will do, we will replace all those n waves which are diffracted from this slit by a single wave having the amplitude E theta equal to Em sin alpha upon alpha. So single wave having this amplitude is diffracted at an angle theta. Similarly, from this slit number 2, we can replace all the waves which are diffracted from slit number 2 by a single wave diffracted at an angle theta and having the amplitude Em sin alpha upon alpha. So our problem is reduced to only two waves. So each of these two waves can be represented by a vector. We can draw a vector diagram, and from that vector diagram we can find out resultant amplitude of the wave disturbance arriving at point P, from which we can find out the intensity of light at point P. So let us draw a vector diagram to find out the resultant amplitude at point P. So to draw a vector diagram, the wave which is diffracted from slit number 1 is represented as a vector whose length is equal to the amplitude of the wave, that is E theta. Second wave diffracted from the second slit, again it is represented as a vector. Now in order to draw this vector diagram, we need this angle phi between the two vectors, and this angle phi is nothing but the phase difference between the two waves. So we want to find out this phase difference first. Once we get this phase difference, using this vector diagram we can calculate the resultant amplitude of the wave disturbance. To find the phase difference, let us try to find the path difference between these two rays. So this is ray number 1, this is ray number 2. The path difference between these two rays is this one, S2K1. If this angle is theta, this will be 90 minus theta, and then this will be theta. So S2K1 can be written as S1 S2 sin theta. S1 we can treat as the central point of this slit number 1, and S2 is a central point of slit number 2. We are assuming that all the light waves diffracted from slit number 1 can be replaced by only one light wave which is diffracted from center of the slit and having the amplitude E theta equal to Em sin alpha upon alpha. Similarly, all the light waves diffracted from slit number 2 can also be replaced by a single light wave diffracted from center of the slits. So the path difference between the two light rays will become S1 S2 sin theta, and S1 S2, if S1 and S2 these are the centers of the slits, S1 S2 can be written as A plus B, where A is width of the slit and B is separation between the two slits. So once we get path difference, corresponding phase difference can be written as 2 pi by lambda A plus B sin theta. So just multiply this path difference by 2 pi by lambda. So let us call this 2 pi by lambda A plus B sin theta as 2 beta, and that will be equal to phi, that is the phase difference between the two waves. So we will represent this phase difference as an angle between the two vectors in this vector diagram. So now using this vector diagram we can find out the value of r theta, the resultant amplitude. So using this vector diagram we can write r theta square equal to E theta square plus E theta square plus 2 E theta cos phi, where phi is the angle between the two vectors. So we can simplify. E theta square plus E theta square is 2 E theta square, and this will become 2 E theta square cos phi. 2 E theta square is taken common, into bracket 1 plus cos phi. 1 plus cos phi is 2 cos square phi by 2. So r theta square is equal to 4 E theta square cos square phi by 2, where E theta is Em sin alpha upon alpha. So E theta square will be Em square sin square alpha upon alpha square. So amplitude of the wave disturbance arriving at point P is r theta, which is equal to 2 Em sin alpha upon alpha cos beta, and the intensity is square of this amplitude, which is equal to r theta square, that is 4 Em square sin square alpha upon alpha square cos square beta. So this is the intensity of light at point P for given value of alpha and beta. Alpha and beta both depend on theta. We have seen alpha is equal to pi by lambda A sin theta, and beta is equal to pi by lambda A plus B sin theta. So this is the value of beta. This is the intensity of light arriving at point P due to the light waves which are diffracted from a double slit. So here you can see two factors. One is Em square sin square alpha upon alpha square. This represents the effect of a single slit, individual effect of a single slit, and cot square beta, this term represents the combined effect of the two slits. Alpha is equal to pi by lambda a sin theta and beta is equal to pi by lambda a plus b sin theta. For this Em sin alpha upon alpha, we have already found out the conditions for principal maximum, minimum and secondary maximum. So due to single slit, the condition for principal maximum is alpha equal to 0. For minimum, we have alpha equal to plus or minus m pi, and secondary maximum is obtained when alpha is equal to plus or minus m plus half pi, where m is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Now due to this cot square beta factor, additional maxima and additional minima will be introduced. So let us see when we will get maximum due to cot square beta factor and when we will get minimum due to it. So maximum due to cot square beta will be obtained when cot square beta is equal to 1. Maximum value of cos beta is 1. So cot square beta 1 will give us maximum. And cot square beta will be 1 when beta is equal to plus or minus n pi, where n is an integer, 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. What is beta? Pi by lambda a plus b sin theta. So beta equal to plus or minus n pi means pi by lambda a plus b sin theta equal to plus or minus n pi. Pi will get cancelled, lambda taken on this other side, and we get a plus b sin theta equal to plus or minus n lambda as the condition for maximum due to cot square beta. Now intensity will become minimum due to cot square beta when cot square beta is equal to 0. So when cot square beta becomes 0, intensity will also become 0. And when cot square beta will be 0? Cot square beta will be 0 when beta is equal to plus or minus n plus half pi. That means beta is equal to pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, 7 pi by 2. For all these values of beta, cos beta will be equal to 0 and therefore cot square beta will be 0. Beta is pi by lambda a plus b sin theta. So condition for minimum is pi by lambda a plus b sin theta equal to plus or minus n plus half pi. Pi can be cancelled and the condition for minimum can be written as a plus b sin theta equal to plus or minus n plus half lambda. So with this discussion, now we can draw the intensity distribution in Fraunhofer diffraction at double slit. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, then please subscribe to the channel so that you will get timely intimation of new videos uploaded to the channel. Thank you very much.